le weather forecast with C3A Production.
Good evening and happy to have you join me again on this edition of the weather forecast. I hope you had an excellent day. We may experience tonight light to moderate showers in most parts of the northwest, west and the littoral regions. As low as 15 degrees is expected in the northwest. The Adamawa, center, east and south regions may have as low as 19 to 21 degrees, and we have the southwest and littoral regions as low as 23 degrees. Italy in the far north tonight, there may be no chance of precipitation with as low as 26 degrees in Mokolo, and by morning there may be a fully clouded sky dominating the entire far north region. Next, we move on to the west, where tonight there may be light showers in the town of Banjul, progressing to heavy rainfall and a fully clouded sky in more than half of the region by morning. Lastly, we go on to the north, where tonight there may be no chance of precipitation with as low as 26 degrees in Poli, and by morning it will be a fully clouded sky dominating the entire north region. To protect yourself and others against the coronavirus, wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water, sneeze with a flexed elbow, and in case of symptoms, call 1510. See you next time.
Local entrepreneurs are urged to make made-in-Cameroon products more competitive by investing in niches with added value while looking forward to government support. Economic patriotism is the focus of our newsroom dossier. Government creates 105 bilingual colleges and transforms others into public schools following separate decrees signed by Prime Minister head of government with aim of promoting bilingualism. More and more people rush to get screened of COVID-19. 2 rapid tests are used in the process. Just how reliable are the results? Get the answer in this newscast. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the 7:30 News with me, Gladys Tata.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Giving made in Cameroon a prized position on domestic and continental markets is at the heart of a number of trade policies. Experts, however, insist that the first step is to identify the various domains with a marked potential for job and wealth creation and build the economy around the opportunities they offer. Clarice Aretakang has more.
The sectors are as varied and strategic as the manpower needed to grow them. This is how many observers react to the Made in Cameroon debate. There is a potential to tap from, they insist.
It's about promoting the entire value chain of the agro-industries, and you know that's where the jobs are. Our tourism sector is still a big sector that we can focus on, and it's going to pull, a wide variety of foreign exchange earnings if we invest a lot on our dairy industry and its value chain, meaning beef production, milk production, and cheese production, then we're going to make big money. Our wood transformation sector, we need to broaden our textiles transformation and fashion industry. And then another sector of vital importance is information technology.
Focus should be on developing value chains is the general view. The contribution of SMEs stands out, but their needs oftentimes override the ability to live up to their promise and market objectives is the complaint. In this regard,
an investment fund that will be able to help relaunch the local economy and to finance local production. Second thing which we propose will be creating special tax regimes for products that are made in Cameroon. Another proposal would be public-private partnerships, because as the SMEs, they cannot function alone. One other proposals that we have is to create incentives for the consumption of Made in Cameroon products.
One of the ambitions of the state is to give the Made in Cameroon brand a considerable market share at the domestic and regional levels. COVID-19 analysts expound, is as good a reason as many others to work towards achieving this goal.
And while identifying the niches with high added value is crucial, experts maintain that the expected results will not be forthcoming if local investors do not receive a push. The goal of the government is to see local products occupy 50% of shelf space in commercial sports. As Ewane Pole tells us, investment in specific areas is key.
As part of its strategy to promote made-in-Cameroon goods, the Cameroonian government aims to push up local products on shelves of large distribution outlets, whose number is increasing across the country.
This hand-washing system was developed to avoid the contact with the taps. So here you can just use it by, you have here a pedals for soap, and here a pedal for water.
According to government officials, local products account for at least 18% of the references currently, and government's mid-term objective is to bring this rate to 50%. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected the economic sector, leaving business operators in financial hardship, thereby limiting the production of goods made in Cameroon. To lighten their burden, investors request government's support.
To help entrepreneurs to grow in made in Cameroon, it is not the matter of money. It is matter to change the mindset of our government, who need to help, to follow, and to involve in our project to understand really where we want to go.
Economic operators say this breakthrough of products made in Cameroon may only be noticeable if the state gives constant support to companies.
Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, is gradually becoming the place par excellence where finding locally made products has been facilitated in supermarkets, specialized stores and boutiques. Ranging from household materials to foodstuff, the goods are said to be as diverse as the taste and likes of consumers who prefer made in Cameroon to imported products. Our reporter Mercy Ashu tells us more from Douala.
Although a banker by profession, Jacqueline Juika's passion to see honey consumed daily in Cameroonian households is a tale that dates as far back as 2013 in preparation for retirement. Today, her products, like many others made in Cameroon, stand tall on the shelves of this store, patronizing and promoting essentially agro-industrial products like the rice from Yagua and the famous white pepper from Pinja.
This honey is produced in bamboo tools in Buda. It comes from the mountain regions and packaged like this in 700 grams and sold at 3,500 francs. When it comes from the farm, we process and filter before branding them in bottles to be displayed in supermarkets.
Downtown Douala, precisely at Carrefour Tif, the consumption of natural juices and smoothies made from fresh fruits and veggies seem to be the in thing for many who are streaming into this restaurant for lunch.
This cocktail is made from pineapples, carrots, mangoes, limes and ginger. It is good for digestion.
Talk about the boom in the textile industry in Cameroon, and this boutique is just a showcase of clothing and accessories in all shapes and colors.
We have beads, we have men t-shirts, we have bags, we have caps.
It might be growing at snail speed, but products made in Cameroon and consumed by Cameroonians have found a niche in Douala and beyond.
In other news, 3 bills already adopted at the National Assembly have been forwarded to the Upper House of Parliament for scrutiny. The bills that authorized the President of the Republic to ratify the Statute of Women in the Organization of Islamic States, the Protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products, and the Agreement on the Conservation of Gorillas were presented to the entire House chamber today by Senate President Masenya Ndifenji. Senate correspondent Charles Anyangwe now presents the bills.
Among the 3 bills from the National Assembly tabled before senators for scrutiny is that authorizing the President of the Republic to ratify the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products. This bill seeks to secure the supply chain by establishing a global tracking and tracing regime made up of national and regional control systems and a global focal point for information exchange. If ratified, the protocol will enable Cameroon to benefit from international multi-sectoral assistance in this regard. The other bill tabled before senators by Senate President Maxime Nyaknji is that authorizing the head of state to ratify the Statute of Women in member states of the Organization of the Islamic Conference. The bill seeks to develop and promote the role of women, particularly as concerns the building of capacities, skills and competence through various mechanisms including training, education and rehabilitation in line with the principles of Islamic values. The last bill presented this Wednesday is that authorizing the President of the Republic to proceed with the agreement on the conservation of gorillas and their habitats signed in Paris, France on October 26, 2007. The agreement seeks to provide a framework for the conservation of gorillas in their natural habitat and to protect these primates. All the three bills were first of all received and found admissible at the Chairman's Conference and have been dispatched to the competent committees for thorough examination. All the exercise took place in the presence of the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Parliamentary Affairs, Francois Bolvin Wakata.
Over in the Northwest region, members of delegations from Mezam, Momo and Ngok-Ketunja divisions have proposed that the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the Northwest and Southwest regions be implemented with transparency, taking into consideration the specific needs of every community. The elite, civil society actors, traditional and religious leaders of the three divisions told the national coordinator, Paul Tassunk, that the success of the plan largely depends on the contribution of those at the grassroots. Mercy Kushi of our Northwest Regional Bureau tells us more.
On day 3 of his working visit to the Northwest, the national coordinator for the presidential plan for the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest, Minister Delegate Paul Tassung, has been telling the delegation from Mezam, Momo and Ngok-Ketunja divisions that the plan is at its recovery phase and the beneficiaries will be selected based on their level of vulnerability. Senator Regina Mundi has a keen interest on what women and girls will stand to benefit.
Those who have been affected, why? Mainly those who have not been to school for 3-4 years now. Their future looked bleak, but now I think they have a future to look up to. The reconstruction of women's empowerment centers and other training centers for young people is going to help.
Another point that these delegates have raised has been the fact that everyone has to be brought on board to benefit from the plan.
It's for everybody, even those who are separatists and ambassadors at the core themselves who lost their property. I think that this project is for all assembly of this nation, of this region.
The Northwest region is set to have 46% of the 90 billion CFA francs budget that has been allocated for the purpose of reconstructing the Northwest and Southwest regions.
On June 19, 2020, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Dangote, issued a decree creating a number of bilingual colleges in some regions of the country. The regions concerned are Adamawa, Center, Far North, Littoral and West regions. In another decree, some bilingual colleges in Adamawa, East, Far North, Littoral, West and West regions have equally been transformed into public schools. Alice Mbe talked to some parents in the capital city to get their views on this new system of education.
With the high demand of bilingualism in the community, the government of Cameroon has transformed about 105 secondary and high schools in the country into government bilingual schools.
The policy of having bilingual technical schools has always been there, and this is a need expressed by the community. And we consider our context. We have students who have moved from the 2 regions to the other 8 regions. We now realize there's a great need for schools to be transformed to bilingual schools.
To foster bilingualism from the base, authorities at the Ministry of Secondary Education say they have qualified teachers for the new system.
Some of them have the English subsystem background, some have the French subsystem background, and therefore they will fit squarely in these schools that have been transformed to bilingual schools.
This will go a long way to foster integration.
You are going to have students from the two subsystems cohabiting in the same school milieu. They will learn to interact, and by so doing you have the national integration that will normally be promoted. You have students who might come from the French background who want to pursue studies in the subsystem. We also have the cross-pollination of ideas and the cross-pollination of cultures from the French to English subsystems of education.
An initiative appreciated by parents and students.
I think that it is a good initiation because Cameroon is a bilingual country.
It is very advantageous to us because it will help us to be bilingual.
As part of government's effort to encourage bilingualism in the national territory, the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism was created in 2017 by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya.
We should bear in mind that negligence by a single individual can seriously harm the entire community.
Cameroon today boasts of over 190 COVID-19 test sites where people wishing to know their status can go to and get tested using rapid diagnostic test kits, RTDs. There are two types of RTDs, antigen and antibody. The question now is which of the two is being used in the country and how efficient it is in testing for COVID-19. Yoti Kaleli Songe has been finding out and compiled the following report for the news.
Rapid diagnostic tests, RDTs, are inarguably faster than molecular-based tests for COVID-19, as 10 to 15 minutes later, the result is available.
The test was very quick, rapid, and I got my test in something like 15 minutes.
There are two types of rapid tests, antigen rapid test and antibody rapid test. But if you want to know if you are starting to develop COVID-19 infection, then the only reliable test in terms of rapid test is antigen rapid test.
In the about 190 coronavirus test sites across the country, only the antigen RDTs are used.
The difference between antigen and antibodies diagnostic test is that when you are using the antibodies rapid diagnostic test, it can help us to know if the patient has been in contact with the virus. Then after the recovery, those antibodies are still there in your body. So the antibody test can be positive while you're already healed. That's why we prefer to use the antigen, because when you have the antigen, it shows that you are actively having the infection at that time.
Even though so far the best of RDTs, according to researchers, it is not always without error.
When we have a positive test, we can clearly testify that the patient really have the infection. But now when we have a negative test, it becomes a bit different. Almost 40% and even more of the patients who are tested negative, they can be positive in fact.
This justifies why health personnel sometimes request that some persons take a molecular-based COVID-19 test, even after doing a rapid diagnostic test.
CRTV's 2020 budget will be reduced by 15% due to the adverse effects of COVID-19 that has prompted a drop in the 2020 state budget. This was one of the resolutions taken during the 148th Extraordinary Board meeting of the structure presided at by the board chair, Rene Emmanuel Sadi. Ewana Ipole has details of that story. Well, we shall be coming back to Ewana Ipole's report, and maybe we shall be talking on the construction work. Okay, I have indication that we should be joining Gilbert Ongene, who is at the emergency center with updates on the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Well, Gilbert Ongene, just tell us what is new over there at the emergency center.
Well, Larry Startup, there is no news as at now, as the press briefing is still being awaited here at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. What is new is the figures of yesterday that you know, the grand total of number of persons who are tested positive this far since the first case of the COVID-19
was diagnosed in Cameroon on the 6th of March this year is 12,270. And of course, we have 5,774 recoveries in total and 313 deaths this far. So we still awaiting the figures from the press briefing of today. You surely get that during the Venture Trant tonight on CRTV and CRTV News. Meantime, we have our guest of tonight, who is Dr. Eric Tandy, a public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health. With him, we'll be talking about decontamination. Now, Doctor, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Gilbert.
Now, decontamination, what is it all about and how useful is it?
I think you're referring to decontamination with respect to COVID-19, which is a big subject for us all this while. You know, decontamination in general has been the aspect of neutralizing or removal of unwanted substances or germs from a surface or from human or from any element you could put it. So this is simply the aspect of putting things back to a neutral or a clean surface so that it could not cause any effect to anyone that come across such object or individual.
How is decontamination different from wash? The term wash that you use generally in medical parlance. Is it different?
You know,
is there any difference?
It's part of it. Okay. This is just part of it. You know, with wash, which is water, hygiene, and sanitation, it's a very big subject that envelopes a lot of things. So, like, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, decontamination process is what is very important, especially in surfaces. We get into offices, we manipulate a lot of objects between collaborators. We go to markets, we exchange monies and other surfaces. We equally use transport means to move around. You know, these conveyors or this environment needs to be decontaminated at all times because we already have community infection, which means we already have the virus within our community. And this aspect of decontamination is very important because we don't know who we are dealing, especially with COVID-19, where we have a lot of persons who are not producing any signs and symptoms, but they are infected. We call them asymptomatic cases. So disinfecting our surfaces or decontaminating whatever use surfaces we have is very primordial here. And it is very, very essential, especially for those who move out from their homes. We have to have it in mind that the alcohol-based solution that we're using is just one of the aspects of decontaminating at all times. So it is very, very important as far as COVID-19 is concerned because we handle a lot of things. And again, mind you, most of us practice the aspect of always adjusting our face masks, touching surfaces, but then have you decontaminated, have you disinfected, because disinfection is just part of the decontamination process. Do we practice this? I think that is where some of the mix-up with some of the patients we'll be having. He said, I have been practicing the aspect of disinfection or decontamination, but I'm surprised my results is still positive. Perhaps we've not been practicing it very carefully, and we need to reinforce this aspect of decontamination within our use milieu on day-to-day activities.
We see you decide once in a while to move into a structure like the CRTV and other public structures and markets to spray the environment with the paraphernalia that you normally have. When and how do you decide to go to a structure for that kind of operation?
Normally, Gilbert, you know, although in some cases when we've noticed that there has been a case, for example, if all of us in this hall have been screened today and we notice that there is a positive case, it is important to do a general decontamination as far as this area is concerned. But within public squares, it is equally evident that once a while this should be done, you know, because we don't know who is positive or not within this area, you know, especially in market areas. But this could be done systematically depending on the resources that are available. That is why we advise at all times for people to limit going into public places. If you remember in all press briefing, even by the minister, he said, try as much as possible to stay at home. And that is one of the methods that we could contain this virus as fast as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Eric Tandy, public health expert in the Ministry of Public Health. Well, Gladys Tata, that is the situation out here. Back to you, Balatu.
And we shall not stop thanking Dr. Eric Tandy for all he has been doing in order to enlighten the public on this thing of COVID-19, or what COVID-19, the dangers of COVID-19 in the country. Thank you once more, Dr. Eric Tandy, and hope to be in your company same time tomorrow. CRTV's 2020 budget will be reduced by 15% due to the adverse effects of COVID-19 that has prompted a drop in the 2020 state budget. This was one of the resolutions taken during the 148th extraordinary board meeting of the structure, presided at by the board chair, Emmanuel Rene Sadi. Ewane Epole has more.
Board of Directors of the Cameroon Radio Television CRTV participated in the 148th Extraordinary Board meeting through a video conference coordinated from the CRTV Production Center and Balatu, Yaoundé. It was presided over by the board chair Rene Emmanuel Sadi, Minister of Communication. Top on the agenda for discussion was the corporation's judicial status, the readjustment of the 2020 budget, and the examining of the execution of the budget of the CRTV Communication and Marketing Agency, CMCA. One of the major resolutions is that CRTV will witness a drop of 15% in its budget because of the adverse effects of COVID-19 that has caused a deficit on the state's budget. The board also appreciated the work CRTV's management has done this far. The board members lauded the efforts of the Director General, Charles Ndongo, and his deputy, Emmanuel Wongibe, for the measures put in place to limit the propagation of the coronavirus pandemic in CRTV's workplace.
Construction work has resumed at the Soa-Ese-Awai Road in the Center region after a contract with a foreign company was cancelled in October 2020 by the government. 2 Cameroonian enterprises have taken the relay. From Awai-Ese, preparation for tarring is underway, while bulldozing on earth removal works are engaged on the Ese-Soa stretch despite the rains. Joyce Kimbi Forwaju tells us more.
Near completion of the company base in Ese for the enterprise contracted to realize the Ese-Soa road stretch. Movement of people and vehicles on the side indicates serious business. 2 months after the start of construction works, the pace is seemingly faster than initially estimated by the Bofas company.
If you look at the timing, we're about 9.2% of the work for 9.5% of the timing that we are given, the project timing. What we are doing actually here is actually substituting a soil without the right bearing capacity with soil with the right bearing capacity.
Grading and bulldozing had already been done by the first contracting company whose contract was cancelled on the Awai-Ese stretch before the Cameroonian company took the relay, and pre-tarring works are being done.
The executive project has been totally made.
The rock there, as you are seeing, after carrying the rock there, we will bring it here. We will have all our structures, what we call in French the concasseur, the central enrobé, will be at this level.
Some difficulties are encountered.
Main difficulty that we are expecting to be solved, it is that matter of bringing our material for the asphalt. I mean for tying the route.
The road construction work from Awai-Ese to Soa is part of the triennial emergency program within the road sector. The project is generally estimated to cost over 37.7 billion CFA francs.
The pioneer mayor of the Garwa City Council says the North Regional Capital, which is host to one of the pools of the 2020 Africa Cup of Nations, shall be made beautiful and set for the competition. Reviewing his first 100 days in office, Dr. Usmaila Muhammadu underlined the need for all to collaborate as the Garwa City Council committedly works towards urbanization. Tony Nanyongo tells us more from CRTV Garwa.
Immediately after taking office, the Garwa City Mayor wasted no time to begin working on the council's annual investment plan and the projects that need to be handled daily.
C'est notamment le suivi du respect du plan d'urbanisme de la ville.
It is noted the projects that need to be handled daily.
C'est notamment le suivi du respect du plan d'urbanisme de la ville.
It is notably the follow-up of the city's development plan, hygiene and sanitation works, maintenance of public gardens, the fight against urban disorder, and the follow-up of ongoing projects.
Le suivi des marchés en cours d'exécution.
While taking care of daily affairs and implementing the Council's 2020 investment program, top on the list of priorities are projects related to AFCON 2021. The City Mayor, Dr. Usmaila Muhammadu, has underlined the need for collaboration so that Garwa will be made beautiful and ready to host one of the pools of the competition. The coronavirus pandemic might have imposed some changes in the pace of work. The City Council is nevertheless committed to its plan to embellish the North Regional Capital. While some projects are under study, contracts have been awarded for others, like the construction of a grand leisure park with a commercial center.
The increasing number of babies conceived through the technique of in vitro fertilization and the number of women and couples that visit CRTV necessitates a boost in the technical platform as well as an increased number of trained personnel. This has been the concern of Professor Jean-Marie Cassia and the members of the management board. Today's 3 new births is one of such instances, with many more programmed on a single day. Staff Lady Enanga Kebi was at CRTV and put together this report.
Over 200 healthy babies resulting from the success of the technique of in vitro fertilization at CRTV since the inauguration of the center in 2016 by Mrs. Chantal Biya has been making news both nationally and internationally. It is the hope and pride of women and couples with procreation problems to visit CRTV, just like some 3 mothers today and their 3 healthy babies, all boys who saw the light of day this morning at CRTV. The ages of the mothers ranged between 38, 33, and 39 years respectively, while the babies weighed 3.6, 3.7, and 3.2 kilograms.
Those 3 women got pregnant the same day. The team now is doing a very wonderful job, and they are performant. They are trying to do exactly what they should do as far as the IVF is concerned.
The presence of the pediatrician is important because we have just 1 minute after birth to make the baby breathe if it is not breathed spontaneously.
With the rising demand from women and couples both nationally and internationally, CRTV has been reflecting on its technical platform, capacity, and the possibility of increasing the personnel through training.
We have to train those people now so that in 10 years' time, CRTV will always have the same capacity, the same famous doctors who can do exactly what I'm doing today.
CRTV is also recommended for the treatment of gynecological cancers. Like Professor Cassia, the general manager, disclosed, the domain entails discipline, determination, and the commitment of experts.
CRTV has received this mission from the head of state to organize gynecological cancer problems.
Minimal invasive surgery, better known as endoscopic surgery, is well practiced at CRTV. Through partnership with advanced hospitals and experts abroad, CRTV has established a comfortable position in endoscopic surgery both in Cameroon and the subcontinent. Today, CRTV has changed the story of many women and couples who had lost hope of motherhood to one of joy, hope and trust in God and the wonders of science and technology.
The basic education community in the Southwest region has been encouraged to ensure a proper implementation of barrier measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the school milieu. Dorothy Motaze, Regional Delegate of Basic Education, was speaking shortly after visiting some schools in the region to evaluate the use of anti-COVID-19 kits donated by UNICEF and Basic Education. Bridget Jep Assam B1 reports from Boya.
It is the third week since Class 6 pupils of primary schools in the Southwest, despite the health challenge COVID-19, went back into their classrooms ahead of the 2020 competitive and certificate examinations. In this regard, the Ministry of Basic Education, MINIDUP, and UNICEF donated a consignment of hygiene gadgets to assist in the fight against the pandemic.
We receive jugs, buckets, soaps, hand sanitizers, and other gadgets.
To ensure a proper implementation, Southwest Regional Delegate of Basic Education, Dorothy Motaze, visited some private and public schools.
Find out first of all if the consignments of materials that were given by MINIDUP and UNICEF are in the different schools of the region.
From Parent Mountain School Boya, Government Primary School Bunzuma Bokoko Groups 1, 2 and 3, St. Charles Luanga Catholic School and Government School Great Support, Madame Dorothy Motaze not only appreciated the school authorities but also encouraged them to ensure the barrier measures are strictly respected.
The population of Dimako in the East region now have potable water. This is thanks to the construction of a water treatment and distribution unit in the locality by the Cameroon's Water Utilities Corporation, CamWater. The people have appreciated the donation and say it will solve the long-standing problem of potable water in their locality. Tala LT reports from Bertwa.
Since the Dimako Water Treatment and Distribution Center went operational some 3 months back, its users say the constant worry they had of getting potable water is now a thing of the past.
I want to express the joy and the satisfaction of my population that event will permit us and my population to fight against COVID-19, to respect the instruction of the hierarchy.
Since I subscribed to the CamWater, I have little or no stress. Before, fetching water from my well was tedious, but now, at any time, I just need to open the tap and water flows. With CamWater, it's easy. I use water the way I want.
The Cameroon Water Utilities Corporation, CamWater, provides potable water to its users thanks to this treatment and distribution plant constructed on the banks of River Ponda in Dimako. It has a capacity to produce 600 cubic meters of water daily. The treatment plant has a standby generator and a reservoir to store 70 cubic meters of water. The Dimako treatment plant is built and equipped with cutting-edge machines to ensure a continuous flow of potable water throughout the year. A team of well-trained engineers work and stay on the facility to ensure continuity in supply.
There's water for everybody. Let them come and subscribe. You go to our store, you'll see there's chemicals. And the water, as I've said, is very, very clean, potable.
With a network of pipes estimated to cover 13 kilometers within the subdivision of Dimako, the population is gradually moving from the old ways of fetching water from wells, rivers and boreholes to taps flowing with potable water.
The Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé has described the deceased business tycoon Fotso Victor as a charismatic person and philanthropist who worked for the common good. His Grace Jean Barga was speaking today during a requiem mass at Our Lady of Victory Cathedral in Yaoundé to pay homage to late Victor Fotso. The President of the Republic was represented by the Minister, Director of the Civil Cabinet, Samuel Vondo Ayolo. Amin Keng Edward reports.
It was a requiem mass filled with emotions at Our Lady of Victory Cathedral in Yaoundé
attended by an impressive number of members of government, parliamentarians, traditional rulers like the Sultan of Fumban, Ibrahim Bombonjoye, family members and friends who came to pay a deserved homage to one of Cameroon's leading business tycoon, late Victor Fotso, a development catalyst, philanthropist, and a patriot who passed on to eternity on the 19th of March 2020 in Paris, France, at the age of about 93. The Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic, Samuel Mvondo Ayulu, personal representative of the President of the Republic at the Requiem Mass, was welcomed on arrival by the Central Regional Governor, Nasiri Paul Biya, just before the solemn procession of the College of Priests under the guide of His Grace Jean Barga, the Metropolitan Archbishop of the Yaoundé Diocese. Drawing inspiration from the scriptures, the officiating clergy described the deceased patriarch, Victor Fotso, as a multi-charismatic and multi-dimensional personality who showed abundant love for God and his people all through his lifetime, catering for his family, the poor, and his community. As a man with exceptional qualities, he worked for the common good of his people and the development of the nation. His Grace Jean Barga prayed for the peaceful repose of his soul and challenged the faithful to inherit the exemplary values and qualities of the departed patriarch. Honorable Albert Quenche and Minister Philip Mbaragambua also eulogized the late Fosso Victor and thanked the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, for paying him an outstanding homage that he deserves. Before his death, Fosso Victor was the mayor of Banjul in the west region of the country.
The Requiem Mass for the Mogul Victor Fotso, attended by state dignitaries, a cream of CPDM bigwigs and sympathizers, was initiated by the president of the Banjul community in Yaoundé, Honorable Abe Quinche. Together with his tribesmen, the Mass was offered to celebrate one whom they described as the most iconic figure of Pete Banjul, who worked relentlessly to develop the nation. Esther Kima has more.
93 years seem a lifetime for the Banjul community, privileged to have a rare gem for his son, committed to build and to empower regardless of how little he sailed academically. The patriarch, industrialist and developer with a heart of gold, ready to reach out to the needy and the underprivileged, through his initiative, the Victor Fotso Foundation is celebrated by his brethren. The president of the Banjul community in Yaoundé, Honorable Albert Quinche, hailed him for the uncountable actions in his native Banjul, amongst which is the construction of a befitting city council hall, where he served as mayor for 24 years and championed development projects.
I'm not sure in 1 week to talk about all he has done. In religious domain, he built church. Not only in Yaoundé, but all over Cameroon. He was a businessman who created employment. Thank you very much to the President of the Republic.
In Yaoundé, where the patriarch lived since the 60s, through the voice of their elites, Minister Philip Mbaragambua, the Fundi community regrets the passing on of the charismatic tycoon, a perfect example of a promoter of living together.
He succeeded to reconcile God and money. With his money, he offered to God the best he could in this world. He succeeded to reconcile also the poor and the rich men. It is not easy to see that those who are rich accept to share their richness.
Victor Fotso, the first-class notable of the Banjuls, titled Fort Nyapngwon as he who develops the nation and generates happiness, will be sorely missed. He leaves a legacy and is mourned by his people who pledge to continue praying for the peaceful repose of his soul, especially at the Bafoussam Cathedral, the house of God he donated 1 billion CFA francs to complete its construction in May 2019 at a Thanksgiving Mass.
And that does it on this edition of the news. Join Romeo Chisengok at 8:30 for the news in French. I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Until then, it's bye from all of us on the 7:30 crew. Good night.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.